Good morrow, scholars. Now, welcome back to Blood of the Dead. How you guys doing? Here's Artemis. You can't really see him, but the back of him, or like his back, I don't know. How you guys doing? Sorry for a late start and a couple of late uploads. Uh, just helping my mom with the groceries, and I got distracted by the kittens that are in our garage. Anywho, we are on chapter 28, page 173. To see people again, real, living, breathing people, set August's heart into a gallop. And it wasn't from excitement, reconnecting with the real world after being away from it for so long. Well, he just didn't know what to expect. The world he left was one where everyone fought for their own place, looked out for themselves, and, as he learned over the course of a lifetime, didn't care who or what they had to hurt to get themselves to where they wanted to be. Eleanor often told him he was being too cynical, and that if he gave folks a chance, he'd see that despite their flaws, most were, deep down, decent people. I'd like to think that. But you forget the human heart, he told her. Who could know it right? The things that we're capable of. How many times have you thought the path seemed right, but then, a short time later, you found out you led yourself astray? That's a good point. Road to hell and all that. She was usually silent after that. Deep down, he knew she agreed with him. It was one of the many things they both firmly believed. It was also one of the things that made them appreciate God's gift all the more. But that was before all this madness, before the dead roamed the earth. August looked around at the faces of the three young people who had come in through the window. The four of them were now crowded into a small maintenance room off one of the hallways in Winnipeg Square. A small candle taken from one of the shops provided the illumination. The room cast a warm glow that, at any other time in history, would be quite comforting. Now it reminded August of the possibility of hell to follow should any of these three try anything. That's kind of morbid. The power had officially gone out not long after he awoke. That meant no running water either. The guy in the trench coat broke the silence. How long have you been in here? August studied the young man's face, more specifically his eyes. It could have just been his imagination, but he thought he saw a distant pain somewhere behind the man's green-eyed gaze. Not long. Since yesterday. The man nodded. The young girl with pink hair folded her arms. Though her eyes were cast to the floor, August knew she was addressing him when she spoke. Are we safe in here? As safe as we can be, my dear, though I don't know for how long. She glanced up at him quizzically. Should he tell them about the possibility they weren't alone in the square? That a creature yet unfound lurked about? No, not yet. What's your name? The other young man asked. Yours first, August said. Why? He flinched inside. He thought it was expected that you answered an elder regardless of the question posed. You tell me yours, and I'll tell you mine, and be truthful. I know kids like to make up names, if it suits them. The guy smirked and shook his head. Okay, fine, my name is Des. Does Des have a last name? Des shook his head again. There was a pause before he spoke. Nottingham. All this time I could have been making jokes. Dang it. Can't believe I didn't think about that. Never mind. Des looked as if he were waiting for August to say something. Thank you. My name is August. August Norton. Joe Bailey, said the other young man. August nodded in his direction. The three turned their attention to the girl. She unfolded her arms. My name's Billy. Billy Friday. Is that really her last name? I don't know. Des, Joe, and Billy. August thought, we sure know how to pick 'em, Lord. Yeah. He wasn't quite sure what he meant by that. Silence reigned in the little room again. So, what now? Des asked after a time. We can't stay here, August said. They know we're in here, if they're able to communicate with each other. They'll surely tell their friends that a meal is waiting for them if they're willing to dig a little. That's reassuring, Billy said. What did you expect? The promise of absolute safety? What's eating you? She snapped back. August sighed. Nothing. Apologies. It's been a while since I've spoken to anyone. Sorry, I was just thinking about Darth Maul and Rebels. Never mind. I'm sorry. You don't have a clue. Listen, right now we need to come up with an exit strategy, and more specifically, where we're going to go once we're out of here. Couldn't we just walk out when the coast is clear, I mean? If that comes, that's a possibility, but first things first. I need you boys to help me board up the windows upstairs. The dead saw us climb in. They could be trying to climb in as well. They could already be inside for all we know. Agreed, Joe said. When? The sooner the better. And we'll use what to board them up? There's a lot of office furniture up there. I'm sure we'll find something, August said. Alright, I also propose we use the buddy system. No one goes anywhere without someone else, not even to the bathroom. I suffer from bladder shyness, so I would rather probably just risk the zombies, if it's all the same to you guys. Let me know what you think. Billy shifted uncomfortably. If that's the case, I choose Des as my partner for that. Gee, thanks, he said. Arms are important, Joe said to August. Have anything? Just what you see here, he hefted his rifle. That and a lot of prayer. The other three made a face. Think what you want, he added, and surveyed the room. I haven't had a chance to go through everything in here, so look around. Find any tools, bring them out. We'll take them upstairs and do what we can. I also want all of us going up there together in case we run into trouble. Chapter 29, page 176. The four returned to the office upstairs, Joe and August taking the lead because they were the ones with the weapons. Billy followed closely behind them, with Des trailing at the end. He clenched the iron pipe between his fingers as they trudged up multiple flights of stairs to get up to the 5th floor. I'm getting tired of this, Des thought as he adjusted the small pouch of tools over his shoulder. He'd taken them from the maintenance room. His eyes and head ached from exhaustion. It was well past time to go to bed. Couple that with all that happened. His stomach rumbled, and every muscle in his scrawny body seemed to protest this further strain he was putting them through as they climbed up. He knew full well he was grouchy, but he still couldn't shake the swell of anger and frustration bubbling within his chest. Up until now, namely up until Joe showed up, everything had been fine. He was finally getting used to living in an undead world and having to be always on the run. What's more, he was also getting himself ready to talk to Billy. To really talk to her, and tell her how he felt. Just figured the odds of her accepting him were in his favor. There weren't too many other live folk around for her to choose from. They were close, best friends even. You should not have a sense of entitlement, no matter what. But Joe changed everything. The guy, as much as Des hated to admit it, was a hero. He came out of the dark and saved their lives. He had appointed himself leader of their little band, and now that they had met August, he seemed to take to that role even more, even though Des sensed a bit of unease on August's part. The old guy probably figured that since he had lived nearly 3 times as long as each of them, he should be the one in charge. That and a respect for your elders' tradition probably played a strong part with it. With each passing moment, Des felt as if Billy was slipping away, especially because of his behavior as of late. At least he's aware of that. Keeping cool had never been his strong point. When things got intense, it was fly by the seat of your pants for him. He'd always been one to listen to his heart, even when it sometimes landed him in trouble. August opened the door leading onto the 5th floor, and the three others walked past him as he held it open. The old man quickly moved past Des and Billy and rejoined Joe at the front. "This one here," August said, and led them into the office, where, not long before, he had hurled computers and office equipment into the street. August drew up his rifle and pointed it into the room before entering, just in case. Des braced himself for a rush of the undead to come pouring out. "Clear," the old man rasped. They all went into the room. Des, Joe, and Billy stopped in their tracks when August raised a finger, motioning for them to be silent. "Sorry." The entire floor was quiet, and no sound indicating movement came from below the street. Or, what? Came from the street below. There we go. I don't know what that was. Des and Joe went to the window and peered out. Below, dead bodies rimmed the lower edge of the building. A few straggling zombies milled about, some stopping to inspect their fallen kin, others just walking aimlessly here and there. "Not very intelligent, are they?" August said as he came up beside Joe. "I don't know about that," Joe said. "We've encountered a few who seemed to know what they were doing, and there's some out there who are fast, too." "Different breeds?" Des asked. "Maybe," Joe said, "or maybe it just takes time for them to learn from one another, or even for them to come to conclusions on their own in regards to what they're capable of. Let's face it, those are shells of human beings down there, brain dead, for the most part. That is, smart enough to know what they have to do to survive, but not so smart as to go about it in the best way. Thankfully, that works to our advantage. They have the IQ of maybe a 1-year-old, if that. I think it's instinct," August said. "Think about it. What's their goal? To eat. Why does anyone eat? To survive. Why does anyone fight? To defend themselves or to survive, right? But why us? Why eat us? It makes no sense." "I'm sure there's an explanation for it," August said. "Do you know what it is?" "No." "There's probably no way to find out either." She slouched her shoulders and walked to the wall on the other side of the room. "What if there's more to it than that?" Des said. "I mean, think about it. Look back to a year ago when this all began. The rain came. People turned into, zombies. But some people didn't. We didn't. If this was just a freak thing, wouldn't all of us be like them?" August glanced at Joe. "The boy raises a good point." Des smiled. "The question, of course, is, how do we know?" August let go of a deep breath. Like all things, answers reveal themselves in time, if we're looking for them, of course. Billy turned away from the wall. "How did you get here?" "Me?" August said. "You're the only one we don't know." Des thought he saw hesitancy in the old man's eyes, as if he didn't want to give an answer. I walked, drove. I'm from here, but had gone out of town with my family." "Where are they?" Des asked when Joe shot him a look that said he shouldn't have asked that question. Shot him a look that said he shouldn't have asked that question. August cast his gaze to the ground. When he spoke, his voice was just above a whisper. "Not here." The hurt in the old man's voice was real, and Des suddenly felt ashamed of his own selfishness and the sense that Billy was being taken from him. "I'm sorry," he said. "Me too." "Will you be all right?" Joe asked the old man. "That's sad." August put a hand on Joe's shoulder and gave it a squeeze. "I'll be fine. Got some things to work through, but don't we all, right? There's more, but I'll talk about it if and when the conversation allows." "I say we make a pledge," Billy said. "Pledge?" Des asked. "Yeah, we need to stick together, us four. Maybe more, should we come across anybody." She looked at Des intently. "I know we don't know each other all too well, but that's fine. This isn't about that. Not right now. Look at what we've been able to manage when we work together, when we back each other up. We'd be dead otherwise, maybe even like them." August nodded. Joe did the same. "So I guess there's no going back to the way things were," Des thought. He supposed it was for the best. He just had a hard time accepting it, was all. But this wasn't about him. It wasn't about Joe or August or even Billy. It was about trying to get things back on track, about possibly even reclaiming a dead world from those who owned the keys of death. I feel like that sentence tried to be profound, but it just came out kind of gawky. You know, like if my one friend Tyler, tall, lanky white guy, if he tried to be Jack Skellington for Halloween, like even though he's got that build for it, he'd look more like Gumby. Do you guys know who Gumby is? Never mind. Oh, I just made myself sad. Not because I'm old or anything. Gumby was technically a little bit before my time, but I watched it anyway. No, down in the comments. Huh. Oh, okay. It had paused. Well, not paused. It had frozen the thing. A low groan came from the street below, and all four turned their attention toward the window. About 7 or 8 blocks from the building, a long procession of the undead were making their way toward it. They know we're here, August said. Quick, let's close this window up. They can't come in. Billy felt out of place as the men worked. Again. Sexist. Her main job was to simply hand them tools when they called for them. It was all she could do. She wasn't that strong, so she couldn't lift and turn tabletops once they had been detached from their legs. She couldn't hold the heavy tops up against the wall as August worked to fasten them into place. Her arms were still fatigued from having to climb the fire hose, but it made her away now and then and gave her a warm grin. When those old eyes bore a little twinkle as he tried to make her feel included, and for a moment she was able to forget about the blood, the undead, the nearly dying, able to forget about her family. That's also sad. She had a new family now, one that had shown it was willing to give anything and everything to ensure she was taken care of, and that she was safe. It took over an hour before the tabletops were secured across the window frames, the men working as fast as they could. The undead they had seen advancing toward the building were down there somewhere, probably right up against the outside wall, searching for a way in. Every so often she could hear their mutterings and groaning below, their hollow banging on the glass lining the lower level. We're okay, right? She asked August. Yes, for now, but there's strength in numbers, and those things are multiplying. We can't stay here. We need to get out. There's also... The old man cut himself off. There's also... Sorry. Disprompted. Then go back downstairs. The men quickly finished. Again, sexist. Blocking the large window and examined their work as Billy put the tools away. She slung the pouch over her shoulder and waited for them by the door. Her heart jumped when a low ba-doom banged somewhere at the end of the hallway. Guys, she said. Joe looked back at her from the window. Yeah? Ba-doom. Joe's face hardened. He had heard that sound too. He quickly snapped out his gun and walked briskly to the door. Sorry. Out there, Billy said, pointing down the hallway. Ba-doom. August, rifle, let's go, Joe said. August brought the rifle forward and marched toward him, grimacing. What about me? Gus asked. Stay here with Billy. Holler if you see anything. Ba-doom. Ready? Joe asked the old man. August nodded. The two went off the stairwell at the end of the hallway. There's something I have to tell you, August said to Joe as they walked away. Whatever else he said, Billy couldn't make out, but she did need August to finish his sentence to know what was up. Joe's momentary stopping in his tracks told her everything. There was a zombie in the building. Ba-doom. Okay. I'm tired. It's kind of late. It's pretty late here. I don't know why. Well, I mean, I know why, but I don't know why I waited so long. Anyway, before I get too distracted, Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I started last year. This year, I'm hopefully going to continue it. My friend Miga, he started the whole thing where Every day for the month of October, he watches a horror movie. Last year, what I did was I watched the remake and then the original for um, every single day of October. I would pick one and watch them. This year, I want to do something similar, but I don't know what theme would be good. If you have any suggestions, let me know down in the comments. I was thinking maybe like Exorcist movies, or just something demonic, but um, religious. So I don't know if I want to do that. I would maybe I could continue with the whole remakes versus originals thing. I think there's enough where I could do those again, or some new ones. Or maybe horror movies that are based off of books. So really anything by Stephen King that has a movie. Anyway, before it gets to be too long and I ramble too much, let me know your thoughts, and until next time, goodbye everybody. Sorry.